Hey guys, welcome to Community News. I'm Winston.
And I'm Cheyenne.
And I'm Vedant.
And I'm Susan.
So today we wanted to tell a little bit about our story as a club, as a team, kind of trying to bring ourselves back up. So I think that it would be best if you kind of started to tell this, right?
Yeah. So I joined the debate team in sophomore year. And at that time, it was a very different landscape. Due to COVID, our club didn't really accomplish much. We had a sponsor that didn't really have the right agenda that fit the ambitions that we wanted to accomplish as a club. So we didn't have that many opportunities to go out and compete. And that's henceforth, we didn't have that many members. We kind of just held meetings to teach about debate. And at a certain point, we got news that Ketanji Brown Jackson, one of our school's alma maters, was coming to visit. And she wanted to meet directly with the debate team because she accredited a lot of her talent and early progression into the career that she now has as Supreme Court Justice to the experience she had on the speech and debate team at Palmetto. And she actually did humorous interpretation, but to her unknowing, we didn't even do speech. We barely competed. So when she went to come visit and she sat with us, she realized that it is very different than how she remembered. And it was pretty shocking. She was a little disappointed, I would assume, that we didn't live up to her expectations of what she had seen before. So it kind of acted as a catalyst for our club to take action. And we realized that we needed to kind of change up our situation. So we decided to change sponsors, but it was like a whole ordeal. Like, Winston, you went through this. And as a debate board collectively, we had to put together kind of like a list of like changes we wanted to make. And it was like this whole thing. We had to find a new sponsor. We had to like scramble around the school looking for anybody that would have the right schedule that fit that.
Yeah. I remember us going door to door for a week trying to find any teacher that would agree to sponsor our club. And I remember the document that we wrote to administration about changing sponsors. And I remember looking at it and thinking of it as our Declaration of Independence. Right?
Yeah.
It had all of our signatures at the bottom. It was like one person's was a lot bigger than the others. You know, we had our own John Hancock. So
Yeah, but I think I want to go back to what you were saying is Ketanji Brown Jackson's visit was a catalyst. And in many ways, it really was. Like for me, like I moved to Miami. Like I was in a completely different state. I moved here in my sophomore year, and I'm a year younger than her. So, and like really one of the reasons that we moved is we saw this article on the New York Times about how a high school debate team like made Ketanji Brown Jackson, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so cool. Like this one of the high schools that was already like one of the higher ones on our list.
Yeah.
Was, creating future Supreme Court justices. And like I'm here, like as a freshman, I did a lot of debate. So I see this article and I'm like, yeah, we should check out this school, right?
Yeah.
So like that really was one of that article, and like that whole story of her visiting was really one of the main reasons that I ended up coming to this school.
Yeah.
And then when I came here, that's when we saw like how far we had come from there.
Yeah.
So
and I was in a very similar situation. I was a little bit less far away than he was in South Dakota. I was in Palm Beach County. But when I moved to Miami, I didn't really know what school I was going to go to in Miami, and it was kind of hard to figure out where to go. My dad had gone to Miami Beach, but it was a lot different now than it had been then, and we were kind of looking around. I knew from some of my family that had gone to Palmetto that it was a good school, but I wasn't totally set on where I was going to go until I saw an article in the New York Times about the superstar debate team. I had been doing debate since 6th grade. I was a middle school debater. In high school, in freshman year, I kind of fell out of it because I couldn't really find a suitable partner at my old school. However, I kind of saw that and I realized that that was the school that I needed to go to.
Yeah.
And I got there and it was a little bit different
than he expected.
than
Yeah.
what we had thought.
Yeah. I mean, I had like a couple other people, just adults that had gone to Palmetto before, and they were always like, oh, our debate team was amazing. We were like #1 in the state at a certain point, and it obviously was not that. And there was obviously a need for change, and we made that happen. And like at the end of the year, it was really just us, like the current board members and a couple other people. And from there, we've grown to 52 paid members, right?
56.
56. Yeah.
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 It's just like, I think that's like the story we can talk about, right? That how like we evolved in just like really one short year, or like from this time last year, we hadn't been to a competition in 5 years.
Yeah.
We hadn't hosted one in 15 years. And now, like just a couple of weeks ago in February, we hosted our first competition in 15 years, right? And we've been to, I think, probably like over 5 tournaments this year already.
We've been to 5, and I mean, our tournament, we were so happy about how it went. It was such a success. We had 350 students. We had something like over a dozen schools. I mean, it went better than I honestly could.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. It was a struggle though to get to the point that we were at.
Yeah.
We were looking for kind of a new sponsor to fill in, and the sponsor that we actually had lined up for us ended up dropping our club like a week
before school started.
Yep.
Yeah, and the week before, I was expecting to relax a couple days.
Oh my
I'm sure you
God.
were expecting to relax a couple days before school started that Thursday, and we ended up spending the whole week frantically trying to find a sponsor.
Yeah.
We both had to go in the day before school started.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, I do remember. And from some grace of God, Marie Shapiro fell into our laps, and she definitely did a lot for us. Like without her, I don't know where our club would be today. Originally, we didn't think she could be our sponsor. She was just starting as a part-time teacher.
Yeah.
And she was sponsoring the mock trial club at our school that was new. And we didn't expect anything until you probably communicated with her, right?
Yeah, I did. I had gotten her number through my dad, and they had a personal connection. They knew each other a little bit prior to her coming to the school, and I ended up sending her a text asking her. I didn't even ask her at first to be sponsor of the club. I had just asked her if she knew who could do it, if she could help us find one, and before we had even known that our sponsor had dropped out, I'd asked her if there were different ways that she could help the club.
Yeah.
Because we were under the impression we would already have a sponsor.
Yeah.
So I think with her, it all ended up working out perfectly.
Perfectly.
And
'Cause, like-
I wouldn't have had it go pretty much any other way, because even though we had to deal with that stress the week before school and it was a mess,
Yeah.
it still made everything work out so well, and nothing we've done we could have done without her.
Yeah, because it's like, I agree, because it's like we're so thankful for her, right? Because the job of sponsor for debate, it's a hard job. It's a very long job. It's a very time-consuming job, and she's been able to put in that effort, right? Where like our previous sponsor, like with his schedule, right? It was hard for him to have time for this, but Ms. Shapiro, like even though she's only a part-time teacher, has found the time to help us with all of this, and I just think that's really commendable.
Yeah, and she's dedicated too. Like we told her at the beginning the kind of spiel we gave every person when we wanted to be our sponsor. We were like, you just need to sit in on the meetings, and you just need to show up to the competitions and just be a sponsor that shows up.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I want to be involved. I want to help you guys. And she also had experience with law. She was, I don't know what kind.
She was a public defender.
She was a public defender, and she's really good at it too. Like, yeah. And honestly, like we all admire her very much, and I think that her passion for debate is like part of the reason why we're also motivated to keep striving for more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it's just shown in the amount of competitions we've taken up and the amount of things we've done despite starting from scratch, basically.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of growing pains too, right? We've like a lot of and it's like been a really great learning opportunity for like the entire board here, right? Because I mean, this is my first like leadership role in a club, and I'm sure it was for you too, right, Winston?
Yeah.
So like, and it was like it's a lot of work for us too, but it's really like interesting learning how to do all this, how to manage all of this.
Yeah.
And
And there's a lot of stuff that as kind of first time builders or rebuilders in our case of a program, you have to do that in normal circumstances you wouldn't have to. Him and I had to create lesson plans for a lot of these different events because we just didn't have stuff from previous years to build off of. And it kind of helped us actually like understand those events better, you know?
Yeah, it was an interesting scenario, right? Because like me and him, like we were only freshmen, right? All of our debate skills were of like a freshman level, and then we had to, teach ourselves, not to like improve ourselves. I mean that too, but we have to teach our entire school now, right, on how to debate correctly, how to do all of this, and it's like it's an interesting position to be in. But like I really felt like it develops like a work ethic, right? There's a lot of time commitment and learning all of that.
Yeah, and it also develops like a sense of responsibility,
right?
Because you have a responsibility to teach these people. I think the one thing I've learned is the ability to I've become more grateful for teachers in general, just because it's like teaching people is hard. Coming up with these lessons is hard. And going and standing up in front of like a room of people and having the confidence to be like, this is what you're going to do. This is what's coming up. This is how you do it. It's difficult.
Especially because like a lot of times, everyone's different, right? And we're experiencing this. So like what might seem easy for us, it's gonna be a lot more complicated to like new people, right? So, like we've had years of experience of going up, like talking in the front of the crowd. But debate, that's how the activity of debate works, right? So when you have a lot of new members, like the hardest part for them is often just like getting up and to teach them, to go up at all. So
we kind of had to start from square one a little bit. And we didn't really know where everyone was at the beginning. It took kind of some time to figure that out. Meanwhile, we were still, like you said, freshman level of experience as juniors. And the two of us have been, while we're trying to kind of build this team, we're still not where we want to be in terms of this. And we're trying to build our own skills at the same time. And it's been interesting because recently our team has kind of caught up to us a little bit. And we learned a new concept at a tournament. And a week later, we were teaching it to the team.
And it's that's part of the thing. I was talking to Winston once. I was like, all this debate the club is taking a lot more time than debate the activity, right? Because Winston and I mean, we spend so much time on doing debate, right? But at the end of the day, we're still like scrambling to write our cases before the tournament because all this time is like signing the field trip forms or doing all that stuff. Winston does more than me, but in that regard, but all this like stuff like that just takes up so much more time. And then like a couple of days before, we gotta write our cases down. But that's like the thing of having to balance it all is just really an interesting thing.
Yeah. And honestly, it's you were saying something earlier about like people having to come up and talk and whatnot. And honestly, I feel like the most gratifying part of having a club like this is watching other people grow alongside with us. I remember like the first meeting we hosted with a crowd of people. It was really intimidating, but all that kind of like melted away once I saw like the joy people had coming up and the courage they gained like just within like a minute, just being up there and like having fun talking in front of these people. It was really fun to see, and I'm really glad that we're able to build this community where we encourage other people to have that sort of
I think like touching on that, I think you're super right. Like I've seen like a lot of people on our team like since that I've been there since the beginning of this year, right? I've already seen like how much they've grown in just like a couple of months of competing. And recently we even had one of our new teams get runner up in like in a major tournament junior varsity.
I was about to say that was kind of my proudest moment as kind of doing this. I mean, you see these people kind of grow even past what you taught them and maybe even past what you would be able to do on your own. And it was kind of all of our victory when they got runner-up because it was not a small tournament. There were people from all over the country that they were competing against, and they kind of shone through despite that. So it was really impressive, and we were all very happy about that.
I remember Justin walked up on that stage, and the first thing he said was, "This is ridiculous." He picked up on the mic. It was funny.
Yeah, and he didn't mean anything bad by it. He thought it was ridiculous that he had been able to make it as far as he did, right?
It was his first real tournament, besides for like some practice beforehand. It was their first real tournament doing that event. And they were just able to, just like understand it and speak well and make it to the top. And I like to think that we had a role in that. I'm sure. Not to take away from their thing, but we also had role in that. So I just, we all felt it was like a team victory, right?
Yeah. Just the effort we put in to like keep this going, to make a space for people to practice these skills and execute them, is us like interplaying in a part of these people's lives. You know, they will carry this on for so long, and also for us, you know, learning these leadership skills is very important, and I feel like it will affect the rest of my life.
Yeah. And I mean, even outside of the activity, I mean, you can see people kind of grow as people because of it. Like people who at the beginning they were nervous, they were like basically unable to go up and talk to the room.
Yeah.
And then by kind of at this point, now it's February, it's been 5 or 6 months, they're incredibly confident speakers. And it doesn't just happen in debate and speech. It carries out, and they're more confident speakers than they were in class. They're more confident speakers in other venues.
Yeah.
And they're more kind of able to talk to people that they normally wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
And it's just really, it's really good to see.
Yeah. And I also think that by opening up these opportunities for competitions, we're also opening up a bunch of avenues for a wider, diverse group of people to be interested in the activity too, because there's so many different types of debate. It's not just debate, it's speech, it's Congress, it's world schools, it's all these different things.
Impromptu.
And it's interesting because I've personally, like, I'll be sitting in class and I'll be watching someone speak and I'm like, oh my God, they should compete in this category.
Yeah.
They would be good at it. And honestly, it just creates an opportunity for so many people to hone in, but also find a place where they can use these skills.
Yeah, because I agree with that, right? And the way that like debate, like it really is like a bunch of like it's a diverse like group of ideas, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, for example, Ketanji Brown Jackson's event was what, humor center?
Yeah.
And that like compared to like what me and Winston do in like public forum, it's just like a completely different ball game, completely different people. But like it's great that like we're able to build a community at school, right? Of like people that are like willing to, you know, share these new ideas. And I just thought, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a community in more ways than one. Like everyone on our team has made friends from that team.
Yeah.
And I mean, after events, we'll get dinner, we'll hang out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a real tight-knit group of people.
Yeah.
And it's really a nice way to find community in a pretty big school where sometimes it's easy to kind of get lost.
Yeah. And it's really special that we can create a community of people that are willing to work hard for something that not a lot of people would spend their Saturday or their weekend doing. Because a lot, like Sunvite was a 3-day long event.
Yeah.
You know, it takes like a certain type of person to commit to those types of things and to have the courage to like expose themselves to all these people who may be way better than them. And I mean, especially as people who are just that don't have as much experience, don't have as much coaching, you know, I would say that we all have to be a little bit proud of ourselves in this regard that like we are self-taught and we've put ourselves in this position, and I think it's pretty great.
I think that's a great point you're making there, right? Where like the peak of our like debate knowledge right now goes to 2 freshmen trained debaters, right?
Yeah.
And like we're going against these schools. A lot of these tournaments we're going to, we're the only public school there.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are schools at one of our last tournaments. There's schools flying down from Boston, from Texas, from like North Carolina, right?
Tennessee. It's a Tennessee team too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're coming from all over the country, and sure, we might not be winning all these rounds, right? But we're standing our ground, right? We're able to like buy like our own like, you know, scrappy like whatever, like our own knowledge. Like,
I mean, we're putting up a good fight against teams that have a lot more resources, a lot more time, and people that have been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of gotten there in 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's really, I think it's really impressive for us. Yeah.
Yeah. It's honestly, it gets to a certain point where I'm not even really competing to win anymore. I'm just competing to learn something. Because from all these people, they're all so intelligent and well-versed, well-articulated, and they all, like, especially depends on the category, but, like, they have specific knowledge in all these different things, and it's a learning experience. And I personally just like sitting in the audience and watching people do it because it's impressive.
Yeah.
Me personally, I still like winning.
But
You're not going to college in 3 months. Yeah. Like Susie and I were going to college, and I feel like it's unfortunate that this happened.
Yeah.
Like, it's fortunate for you guys. I am very happy for you guys and for like the rest of the school. But for us, we're not really reaping the benefits. We're just watching this seed get planted and start to bloom, and it's really beautiful to watch. But it's also
gratifying.
It's gratifying in a way where we don't really get anything out of it, but it's still like I'm proud of everyone.
Yeah, like you see your own creation, you're like, I played a part in that.
Yeah,
I think I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, so it's like a different type of appreciation that I have for this club.
Yeah.
And I love that everyone's finding so much like pleasure from just going out and doing these things, even though it involves grueling long nights and a lot of frustration.
Saturdays. I mean, like, like we left Friday afternoon. We came back. Some of them came back Sunday night.
It's like 12-hour shifts and like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not a small commitment, but I think for a lot of people, it's really worthwhile. And sometimes I think that the amount of effort you put into something does make it more worthwhile to see what comes out of it.
Yeah.
So I think that it kind of helps in some way that you have to put all of this work and all of these hours into it, even as a competitor. I mean, not just as the board.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say like setting up a competition too was just like, you're not even doing this for yourself. You're doing it for everyone else that's going to be competing in this competition. We hosted the first South Florida Christian Forensic League.
South Florida Catholic Forensics League. The first SFCFL tournament of the season was hosted at our school after a couple got canceled.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like, I'm just so happy with how that went. And it was our first in 15 years.
Yeah.
So,
and we had a special somebody, Mr. Jerry Greenberg. Shout out to Jerry Greenberg. He brought us a proclamation signed by the mayor of Pinecrest. That day was Palmetto's speech and debate day.
Yeah.
In Pinecrest, which was really special, and it was like the coolest thing. That really was the cherry on top of.
Yeah, I think it like really like highlights how far we've come, right? But
on
that we're able to host this tournament, get an award from the mayor. But I also want to say that we still have a long way to go. Right?
For sure.
But it's interesting. We've made a lot of progress. I'm just like hoping we continue on this trajectory, like because right now I think what we want to work for is like the next like year to have like an actual class at school. I think that'd be
I'm excited. That's what you guys are gonna be doing.
I'm a little sad that me and Cheyenne are probably a little sad that we won't be able to see where you guys take this.
Yeah, we'll try and come visit.
We will try and come visit, but I can't wait to see where you guys take this.
Yeah.
You guys are incredibly disciplined workers, and you're going to take this.
Thank you.
Incredible car.
Yeah. I mean, as far as we have come, I agree. There's a lot of things that we still want to do that we don't yet have kind of the resources or the experience to pull off. But I think we're going to get there.
Yeah. And it's really like the whole like cliche of like learning from your mistakes.
Yeah.
That was this entire year, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a new year, like new entire system, right? So we made quite a few like blunders here, but
I've made plenty.
Yeah, it's all you.
We all have.
It was all of us, right? But these are all stuff that we're gonna know for next year. And next year we're not gonna make these mistakes. We're gonna
we'll make new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll get to make new ones because we'll be doing new things.
Yeah.
You can make new ones for me and Cheyenne.
Yeah. Take our place.
Yeah.
We'll make double the mistakes just for you too.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'm excited to see what Miss Shapiro does as well. You were saying that she's planning on making a law class. Or wait, no, she has a law class. My bad, guys. Yeah, but like taking it as like the law class that she already has, and like intertwining the club with the actual class, and I think it'll provide a lot more opportunity for like actual structural learning in regards to this, and it'll promote more growth, especially seeing the achievements that we've made this year. I feel like next year our club will be even bigger. I can just see exponential growth.
Yeah, for decades our school did have a debate class, and it ended up getting kind of dropped at some point. Most of the ones in the school district did, but when we go to these tournaments, we're mostly not competing against public schools, and the private schools we compete against, they spend 4 or 5 hours of class time per week mastering their skills, learning these events. We're doing this in an hour after school, like once or twice a month.
Yeah.
So it's kind of we're playing on kind of different playing fields. And for that, the fact that we've kind of still managed to not just hold our ground, but sometimes win against these programs, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, do you guys have any ideas for plans that you want to do next year?
There have been some tournaments this year that we missed out on because of mistakes that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
But also it's our first year, and also like funding too is another big thing that changes with these private schools, right?
Yeah.
Versus us, like they have money to fly out every single weekend.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more than I anticipated, because you can book a ticket on a plane for this much, you can like buy a hotel for that much, but it's always way more than you think.
It adds up.
Yeah. And we're seeing that now, trying to even just book a trip to Orlando.
Yeah.
It's hard. And we had to drop.
It's been a challenge.
Yeah. We had to drop going to the Harvard competition.
Yeah.
Because of just
We didn't have enough
We
money.
didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
We're just a public school, and we're taking the fight to these big dog private schools, and
Yeah.
it's a challenge, but
Yeah,
we do.
and I mean, our biggest challenge is money, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think we're trying to find ways, and there are ways to kind of move past that a little bit, but it takes time. I mean, you have programs that have been around for years, have these kind of established foundations. We just don't have that infrastructure yet. And we're working on it, but, bureaucracy is slow. As anyone who's ever worked with any sort of administration, bureaucracy, especially when it comes to the larger the scale, the slower it is. So a lot of these things take time, and, it's time that they're not going to be here for, but the two of us still will. So,
When we're here.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that with the growth of the club, we'll have way more opportunities. And learning from the mistakes we made this year, I feel we will be able to navigate things with much more organization, so that we will be able to execute you guys will be able to execute much more.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful and optimistic about the growth of this club.
Yeah,
guys.
and we're gonna have more people too. So it's not just we're gonna have a new team. So the torch kind of gets passed on year after year, and you just kind of gotta hope that it doesn't burn out again.
Yeah.
But I think we're setting it up so that it'll keep burning.
Yeah, and whether you go to Miami Palmetto Senior High or not, I think that it's valuable as a student to join a club like this, any club, but especially this one, because it honed a lot of different areas of our life. So thank you to everyone watching, and I appreciate you sitting in. This is the Miami Palmetto Senior High School
All right.
Big Debate Team.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.